URC round number 5, folks. It's the last regular season round before we head into this November break, and it is a round which is without a few of our big gun players who are off with their national sides getting ready for next week's action. But there still were the 8 games. We will go through them. It was largely a pretty good round for the home sides. Not Benetton, and the Dragons got another draw, but largely the home sides did well after the away sides being on top last week. We'll go through the games. I've watched half of them in full, and then the half of them I've caught up on the highlights and the stats and whatnot. You guys can fill me in on the bits that I've missed. And yeah, we'll see how the log is looking after these initial 5 rounds. Glasgow and the Bulls was the only Friday game, so we did a full match review for that one already if you want more details, but that was a good game. And I feel like, it comes down to really the Bulls' scrum was very good. And the Bulls had a big old turning point in this game where they had one try rightly chalked off for a knock-on in the build-up. But Curtly Aarons has scored a bit of a worldie when the Bulls were just pulling ahead. And if they'd gotten that try, I feel like they might go on and win this game. But Glasgow hit back. From the TMO try, they went down and scored the other end. It was kind of a 14-point swing. And Glasgow really controlled the end of the game and were pretty good value for their win. Their scrum was under the pump. Like, they got a prop yellow carded just for conceding too many scrum penalties. But, yeah, Glasgow had more possession and, overall created, I think, more chances, especially in the second half. So Glasgow were pretty good value for the win. Jack Dempsey was really busy. Suni Tuipulotu was busy. Hrobala was busy on defence for the Bulls. But, yeah, the Glasgow guys were the better team on the day for that one. And the Bulls on the road are just not as strong as at home. It's just one of those things. It seems to be more extreme than some other teams. I don't know. I have to do some stats on that to see if it's actually true. But it feels like the Bulls are extra strong at home. And that makes them look extra weak when they're on the road. Although going down to Glasgow, there's no shame in that because Glasgow are genuinely a pretty good team. The Lions and Ulster, I had to watch this one because, Ulster came into this game in pretty red-hot form, and you couldn't say the same about the Lions. The Lions hadn't clicked, but they kind of clicked. That was nice. 49 points from the Lions at home. I also wanted to watch this game to see what the attendance would be like because the week before, it was like 1,700 people, which is drastically poor. I know everyone tells me, Joburg Stadium, it's in a terrible location and it's not safe and people don't want to go there and there's all kinds of stuff, but 1,700 fans is pretty dire. But there must have been more there this week. It looked like more on camera. Anyway, it looked like more than 1,700 people, and whoever went was treated to a bit of a show because this game was largely just tit for tat the entire time until when it was like 34-31 to the Lions. Then the Ulster next counter-attack ended up with a knock-on, so the Lions were actually able to get multiple scores back-to-back, which took it beyond Ulster. Ulster still get a point in this game, but it's definitely the Lions that'll be celebrating pretty hard to finally get a win. And as I said, Ulster side which came in hot form. Rob Ballacoon, though, 3 tries in Ulster's losing effort. God, so good to see that guy just flying because he's had every time he seems to get going in terms of form and games, like back-to-back games, a stretch of the season, he gets an injury somewhere. But if he can stay fit, that'll be really nice. He gets a hat-trick in the game, as I said. Really, really worth watching the highlights if you haven't seen this one. The URC highlights are not great, but just the editing of them, but that game, even with bad editing, will be worth... I haven't seen the highlights package, but I've seen the full game, so I reckon there'll be a few nice ones. Hume scores a try from a dink over the top for Ulster. He grounds it. I don't even know if he knew that he grounded it, but it was like fingertip stuff. It was proper good. Ewan Horn kicks a magnificent 50-22. One of the best I've ever seen, only for the Lions to muck up the next line out. It was almost like the Lions' microcosm of a season, but they also saw some... Inter Labakanya had a yellow card, which they largely managed pretty well, the Lions, but, Keita getting over, they had the icing on the cake one in the 80th minute. They had a couple of back-to-back ones at the end, like I said. Renzo Duplessis He got one after kind of being half tackled, but got back to his feet before the tackle was kind of completed. He wasn't held. So, yeah, there were some nice tries from the Lions guys as well. A mixture of close range and kind of backs ones too. So, really good game, I think. Ulster get a point, so they'll take something out of that. They would have liked to keep their unbeaten run going on, but had to end sometime. And for the Lions, they had to get a win sometime. And this is that game. So, fully entertaining on that. Sharks and Scarlets, I also watched this one. I knew the result, and I was kind of curious what's happening here because the Sharks are in this weird position where they've got such a star-studded team. Expectations are always so high that they inevitably end up disappointing. And this is going to be one of those games because they get a win. I don't know that many people will be celebrating too hard about beating the Scarlets, who are currently literally without a point after 5 rounds of URC action. They're on 0. The only team to be on 0. The next best team's on 5. So the Scarlets are on 0, and they got beaten by 10 points against a pretty star-studded Shark side in Durban. So as I said, I don't know anybody's like breaking out the champagne for the Sharks just yet, but it's a win. It's a win. So, take what you can get and then build on that, and fingers crossed for them the season gets better. Both the Chituka boys get on the board pretty early on, but it was, again, kind of like the Ulster game, very tit for tat. The Sharks scored the first one through Vincent Chituka. The Scarlets boys replied through Van der Merwe. Then the Sharks got one through Emmanuel Chituka. Great footwork for that one. And then Blair Murray scores a bit of a worldie kick and chase one as well. So very much tit for tat. And in both these games in South Africa, the Lions and the Sharks game, they had to have cool down breaks. Must be getting really hot over in South Africa as well, because I guess it's just coming into summer, aren't we? So it's one of those weird things about the URC. You see these games up north, everyone's getting their woolly hats on and big jackets, but yeah, down in South Africa, they're having these cool-down breaks. Both the halfbacks were looking sharp. Grant Williams and like Dane Blicker set up a nice try for the Scarlets, but ultimately the Sharks have got a good scrum. They've got a good maul. Khaleesi gets one from a nice maul, which is the bonus point try as well. So that would kind of been minimum expectations. Get a bonus point win over the Scarlets guys. They did that. They kept them at arm's length. I mean, Khaleesi had a bit of a handbags moment with Plumtree at one point, but yeah, nothing really in it. Sharks dominate the possession, 60%. They make the Scarlets miss a heap of tackles. The Scarlets had almost double the penalties conceded, 13-7. Yeah. 29-19, though, is just not that emphatic. It's just maybe doesn't meet the expectations. But as I said, it's a win. It's a bonus point. End of the season, I don't think anyone's going to remember that game. Hopefully the Sharks, by that point of the season, at the end, will have got a wee bit more cohesion, and Plumtree will be looking like a masterful coach instead of some of the grief that he's getting now. Dragons and the Ospreys finished 19 points apiece. I will admit I only caught up on the highlights of this one, and I watched the end of the match in full because I keep moaning about the URC highlights packages. Like, you got a team in the Dragons who haven't won in the URC for something like, what did they say, like 21 matches? And they go into this game by like 79 minutes. The Ospreys get a penalty conceded, a yellow card, and the Dragons guys have a shot to win it at the death. They choose not to show that in the highlights. Like, I had to go back and watch that. But that's the key. That's the flipping key moment of the game. How was that? I know it's a missed kick. Is it like an AI editing bot that's like, don't show missed penalties because missed penalties are boring? In the context of this game, that would have been a nice moment to show. But yeah, tends to be a missed a shot to win it, which was unfortunate for the Dragons. 3 tries apiece. Rodri Williams with a snipe. Coughlin and Burrows from Dragons mauls. The one that was on the 76th minute, so it was late. The Ospreys got 2 of their tries in the first through Harry Deeves, which was a hell of a one for a Lucy to run as far as he did. And Thokona Singer got one as well for a 12-0 lead for the Ospreys. And Hopkins got one early second half, which was a bit of a cracker as well. But yeah, the Dragons had a bit of a comeback and managed to get a draw. They also had a try chalked off too. But yeah, they'll be gutted they missed that last kick. Game went pretty deep. Went like 84 minutes on the clock, but it finishes all tied up. Wainwright beats 5 tackles. He's always a machine. But yeah, 2 from 4 goal kicks. It's another draw for the Dragons. It's not a loss, but geez, they would have loved a win. And yeah, for the Scarlets and the Ospreys, who've got worrying times ahead, neither really got the result that they would have wanted. But anyway, we'll talk about that another time. Benetton, the only home side to lose, they lost to the Stormers 31 points to 16. It's a bit of a comeback from the Stormers lads in the second half. They scored first through Sunday, but they were down like, was it 16-8 at halftime? Louis Liner got a try, and they had some penalties, did the Benetton lads. Marine was denied a try for a knock-on in the build-up for Benetton, but they had themselves a lead. But the Stormers, Matee got one, and Audrey Smith got one, so they didn't get the 4-try bonus point, but it's a comeback. 3 penalties, keep the scoreboard ticking over the Stormers. They seem to have put a lot of boot to ball. I've only watched the highlights of this one, so I'm not... Like, the stats weren't very definitive in terms of where the Stormers won this game, but they had 40 kicks from hand to the Benetton 26. And I've done looking at stats before to see like which is the key stat, which shows you who won a game. Is it possession? Is it territory? Is it clean breaks? Is it tackle percentages? All that kind of stuff. I did it a few years ago. I haven't updated it since, but when I last did it, the key factor was kicks from hand. Whoever kicked more tended to win. That seems to be the case here with the Stormers. So Stormers' run goes on. They're looking all right, man. They're 5 from 5. Benetton, yeah, their record's looking a little bit more middling now, isn't it? They've broken their own run of winning at home and losing on the road because they've just dropped one at home, so they'll be pretty disappointed. Leinster and Zebre, 50 points to 26. Leinster lost the week before, so handing out a 50-point scoreline was probably not very surprising. But Zebre getting a 4-try bonus point, that probably was a little bit surprising. I don't know if anyone would have seen that coming. Joshua Kenny, who I've hardly heard of, he bags a couple of tries in this game. Great for him. Soroka bagged a couple as well. And they got Harry Byrne with one, Kahir with one, Sneyman with one, Connors with one. And they also had an Andrew Osborne red card for a tackle in the air. So unfortunate for him, but... didn't seem to slow Leinster down, although it was only 26-21 at half-time. Zebre had tries through Bologna with a nice cross-kick. Dominguez with a quick tap. That was the quickest of quick taps I think I've ever seen. Quattrini and Zanon got one on 74 minutes, which was the bonus point. They had a red card of their own. Dominguez with a grass cutter. Not a great look. So red cards galore. Tries galore. But Leinster getting a win. A big old win. Putting 50 points on the team after taking a disappointing loss. As I said, that's kind of not surprising. But it seems like it was a pretty open game. As I said, I've only watched the highlights of this one too. 10 clean breaks to 6. 10 clean breaks from Leinster alone is more than what a lot of other entire matches will have. And the fact that Zebre got 6 is also quite surprising. Scott Penny was also the top run meters guy in this game with 89. So not bad for a loose forward. So yeah, Zebre bounced back. Zebre get bounced and Leinster bounced back after, as I said, disappointing result from the week before. So there you go. Cardiff and Edinburgh, that's a 1-point game. And there's a clutch penalty in this one as well. Johan Lloyd, on 74 minutes, hits a long-range penalty to put Cardiff in front. Do you think that moment is in the highlights of this game on the URC YouTube channel? It is not. It's not. It's one of the key moments of the game. They show the tries, and this game was bonkers because you've got, 5 tries in the first 20 minutes, and then 1 try for the rest of the game. So it's you'd be thinking if you're attending this game, man, this is going to be a flipping 100-point game. No. Like Mulder and Josh Adams combined with each other for 2 tries, 1 each. They both set up each other, which was pretty sweet for Cardiff. And then Wells got one as another new face for me. For Edinburgh, he scored 1. Shield got 1 from a sniper, and then Ashman got a close range 1. Javin Sebastian got 1 in the second half for Cardiff. About 43 minutes in. So there's not a lot of try scoring going in the second half, but there is, as I said, a very, very important Johan Lloyd penalty. So would have been nice to see in the highlights. I've seen some still shots of it, but I haven't seen that game back just yet. But Cardiff flying the flag for the Welsh sides. Because the table is not, we'll get to the table in a second, but the table is not looking pretty for the Welsh sides. But Cardiff are looking all right. Cardiff are in the top 4. So well done, Cardiff. Clean breaks, interestingly, is 7-3 to Edinburgh, but turnovers one is 7-4 to Cardiff. So one of the attacking stats goes to the losing team, and defensive stat goes to the winning team. So interesting one for them. And then the last one, Munster and Connacht. I did a full match review on that one as well. That was a pretty ugly game. It wasn't the kind of easiest on the eye. Piardi was referee in that one, and he's perplexing at the best of times. I think I mentioned in the match review, I'm very rarely too flummoxed, or I don't pay attention to the refs that much. I usually prefer to see what the players are doing. But yeah, Piardi is an interesting fella. Josh Ioane set up a couple of tries for Connacht, which was pretty nice, but he also threw an intercept pass, which Kilgallen scored for Munster. And Munster had a heap of possession and territory in the second half. They probably should have pushed further beyond Connacht, but Connacht did really well to hang on for that losing bonus point. So, goal kicking in that match was pretty horrendous. Of 6 kicks taken, there's 1 that goes over. JJ Hanrahan's coming in for a bit of stick for not really pulling the strings that well. But again, this is one of those things that happens when your international guys are off with your national team. So maybe not all that surprising, but Munster are 5 from 5. They've had a couple of ugly wins in their 5 from 5, but good teams win when they don't play at their best. So that's Munster at the moment. Looking at the log, your top 4, the Stormers, who are 5 from 5, Munster, who are 5 from 5, and then Glasgow and Cardiff, who are both 4 from 5. So that's what I mean about Cardiff flying the flag. They've genuinely had a cracking start to the season. The other playoff teams at the minute are Ulster, Bulls, Leinster, and the Lions. Remembering some of the teams, including Ulster, are a game behind because of the postponed games in, was it round 2 or round 3? So that's your top 8. Leinster have moved into the top 8, as have the Lions, whereas Zebra and Benetton have dropped out of the top 8. They're in 9th and 10th at the moment. Then Edinburgh, Connacht, the Sharks, Ospreys, Dragons, and Scarlets. So 3 of the bottom 4 teams are the Welsh sides. Scarlets are on 0. Dragons also haven't had a win, but they're released on 5. Yeah, it's not great. But Cardiff's doing all right. URC takes a break now as we head into international rugby. But you guys let us know your thoughts. Fill in some blanks for me for the games that I've not really caught up on in full. I took my kids out to see my mate and his kids today, so I've fallen a little bit behind on the rugby, but saw as much as I could. You guys take care of yourselves. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. I would greatly appreciate it. And I'll talk to you guys again soon. See you later.